overvoting and its consequences. Listen.
They come out and say that, look, at this particular polling station, there was this voting without verification, and that all the party agents were there, and they were, they were accomplices, and they allowed it to happen. So let us declare that particular result in that particular polling station null and void. That is the way to address in the mind the same way. If you open a ballot box and you count, and the number of votes inside the ballot box are found to be in excess of the number that actually voted. There are ways of handling this, or if the votes there are in excess of the registered number of voters in the polling station, that is automatic cancellation of the result in that particular polling station.
I can confirm that that is my voice.
Good. Did you also hear yourself saying that when there is voting without verification, the results of that polling station ought not to be added to the tally?
My Lord, it is not in that case. I mentioned that where somebody is able to prove some irregularities, and that is what is on the tape, then you can apply sanctions, and some of the sanctions include nullification of the result.
Did you hear yourself say?
I didn't hear myself.
You didn't hear yourself say that?
Not at all.
This is what you said. That if the votes there are in excess of the registered number of voters in the polling station, that is automatic cancellation of the results in that particular polling station.
Yes, voted more than number of registered voters. Yes, and I've maintained that one in this.
So did lawyers of the petitioners really achieve their objective for playing back that tape? Joining me on the line is a spokesperson for the MPP legal team, Yabo Abinya-Asamoah. In the studio with me is a member of the NDC legal team, Victor Kojoga Daudu. Let me start with you, Ms. Asamoah. It's safe to assume, isn't it, that you played this tape to contradict some of the previous statements made by Asiedu Nketia. The question is, did you achieve that objective?
Thank you very much, Stevens. I believe so. I believe that it was ample evidence of the duplicity of Mr. Asiedu Nketia as far as his awareness of the import of overvoting and other irregularities are concerned in terms of annulment, and that such irregularities once found ought to result in annulment. And also his definition of overvoting, as he had insisted on before, we tape, given the different versions of voting and using the word annul and cancel and automatically to show that if this incident happened, then clearly the vote could not be added to the total tally.
So clearly for you, you found a way to contradict some of those assertions you made earlier.
Well, yes, I believe that it was not just a tape. Mr. Asiedu Nketia has been going back and forth in his examination in chief, in his cross-examination, and has confirmed on tape that he's been going back and forth. And so to mind, and I believe to all those who are keenly observant, it is quite clear that some of the positions he had thought to sustain earlier were confirmed, and over that he did really have to admit that he had said that irregularities ought not to affect elections. Voting is an irregularity, no verification, no vote is an irregularity, and these have been proven and are still in the process of being accepted by the Supreme Court. And once they are proven, they should impact the results in the form of annulment.
Victor, that tape did some damage, didn't it?
No, the tape confirmed what Mr. Asiedu Nketia had said yesterday and today. For us, it's all that he said and the wisdom in what he said yesterday and today is just the same as what he said on the 20th December 2012.
Tell us some of the key points that you think that was confirmed today on the tape that was played in court.
Now, yeah, he spoke about irregularity. That where there is irregularity, then there have to be an annulment. He never specified irregularity. He went back to define what he understands by overvoting. That if the number of ballot papers in the box exceeds the voters' register To him, that is what he understands by overvoting. Now, again, Mr. Asiedu Nketia comes and says that, yes, we agreed at IPAC that no verification, no vote. And even when the machines break down, you need to replace it with other machines. So that's one of the bases why Electoral Commission also made it that, listen, when the machines were not working. Now, what he meant by the no verification, no vote, as he has said, is that if you are not identified prior to checking your biometric register, that means that when you're not entitled to vote there, right, you cannot check yourself through that verification. So if you don't go through that verification process, going through the register, through when the presiding officers will give you the ballot box, then you put your thumb and go through that process, then you should not be allowed. So he's talking about when you are not entitled to vote, you cannot vote.
Babian Soma says the tape contradicted his earlier sessions. You say it confirmed what he had earlier said.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So obviously two different positions. The judges will have to decide. I want to, gentlemen, quickly though.
If you are not supposed to be allowed to vote and you are allowed to vote, it's from paper, then it should be automatically cancelled. That's what Mr. Ketia said. He said, where you shouldn't be allowed to vote because you're not verified, and yet you vote, the results should automatically be cancelled. That's what he said.
Okay, 30 seconds to respond to that. I want to move on to other key points.
It's because they want Mr. Asiedu Nketia to admit their definition of no verification, no vote. And that and those definitions that they have given to overvoting, no verification, presiding officers, that is what they want to foist on Mr. Asiedu Nketia to accept. And he says, I disagree with you.
Gentlemen, hold your peace for a while, because I know the judges will have to decide it finally. I want us to move on to another controversial point today. In today's hearing, it has to do with Justice Bafo-Boni's strong condemnation of the president's lawyer, Tony Letha, for angrily throwing away a document meant to be identified by a witness. This is what happened.
This is the man who talks about respect in the Supreme Court, this kind of behavior.
When counsel seeks to bring that kind of document to court as further and better particulars, I don't know what you expect. The further and better particulars were given in volumes, indicating which paragraph is referred to what, which paragraph is referred to what. And it's not just one volume. There are several volumes. And the matter has been ruled on by this court already about what the legal effect of further and better particulars. They are pleadings. And then an attempt to tender them was rejected earlier. Talking about respect, I beg your pardon.
Counsel.
Yes, my lord.
Clearly, I mean, this behavior is very much on board. Clearly condemnable. You know, your behavior is towards the court. You should know that. Even you have been telling your witness that every time he answers the question, you should say, yes, my lord, even though that question has been asked by counsel the other side. So you should know that whatever reaction you put up is clearly an affront to the...
I apologize to your lordships, my lord.
In any case,
I apologize to your lordships.
In any case, you know that, you know when to interject, when a document is, should not be tendered or should be identified. The document was in the first place not meant for you. You only saw it, it was supposed to go to the witness.
The jettisoning of cargo is not something to be done at the back. It's on the high seas, when ships are in trouble, then they jettison cargo.
I still have with me on the line Yabo Abiansama. In the studio with me is Victor Kojoga Daudu. I must indicate that earlier, just before we came on, I spoke to an independent lawyer, renowned one, of course, a legal practitioner, former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Sam Okudzeto, about the conduct of Tony Letha today, but also the reaction from the bench. He thought that the conduct was indeed condemnable, as we had Dafo Boni say, but also believed that the approach adopted by the president of the panel was one that encouraged such acts. I want to bring in Babia Sama. What do you make of? Do you agree with that sentiment expressed to us by Sam Okudzeto?
Senior advocate of Ghana, he knows what he's talking about. This is the lowest point of this trial. It was unethical, it was uncalled for, it was unacceptable, sheer arrogance. That the Supreme Court of Ghana is treated this way. That Mr. Tony Letha, who is a junior to Mr. Addison, and that Mr. Letha, when Mr. Addison rose to his feet some time ago and asked their lordships politely whether a decision was unanimous, Mr. Letha jumped up unsolicited and called him disrespectful and called him names. And Mr. Letha had the temerity, the arrogance, to throw a document at the Supreme Court and was forced to apologize, didn't even feel sincere about the apology. It's unethical. It is very, very, very sad for jurisprudence in this country. Not even a Supreme Court justice will accept what he did. And I doubt if Mr. Letha will accept that if Ian does that to him before the bar. He should be condemned in no uncertain terms.
Mr. Daudu, what's your reaction to that?
I think that from the inception of this case, we have seen where tensions has flared up, and where the court has, over a zillion times, have said that, listen, we should be impersonal and professional in this matter.
And if you join us on Newsnight, you hear the exact words of Sam Okudzeto. He says, in his 50 years practicing law, he's not seen this kind of attitude before.
No. I think I disagree with Mr. Okudzeto on this. If he says this, listen, you go to court, even to extend that lawyers, when arguing, exchange, it becomes this. It is not to be encouraged. But when tension rises, and what the document they were bringing, right, he was saying it was in 5 volumes. So you don't bring one document and try to tender it. I think that he has apologized.
Okay, yeah.
And it is true. If we go further, it is just like you want to give a dog a bad name and hang the dog.
Mr. Babia, an apology is enough, isn't it?
Sir?
The apology is enough, isn't it?
My brother, there was no hint that document was going to be tendered. That apology was weak. That apology was not sincere. That apology had to be dragged out by the Supreme Court. And I think that he has brought the name of the bar into disrepute. He's my senior, but I'm very, very emotional about it.
What more do you want? What more do you want from the bench?
Yeah.
What more do you want from the bench?
We should have seen stronger action. And that is what my senior advocate of Ghana, Mr. Sam Okudzeto, is saying. What was your action? But for the fact that member of the bar the member of the bench pulled into order, the president thought it was something for levity. I don't really know whether that's the way to go, but I said that it was the best example. I would not dare 17 years of practice through a document at the bench, irrespective of the size of the court. I would not dare. Okay. And I don't think anybody, any practitioner should take this as an example and write it as tension. What kind of tension?
Okay,
what are we doing in the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court has solved for us? That demands that you disrespect the court by throwing documents on the ground.
Just run out of time. Thank you very much, Yabo Abiansama. Your response to that. He says he wants more. He wants. You should have seen some more.
No, I think Mr. Tony Letha has apologized, and it is not to be encouraged. And the court has several times spoken. But however, if we want to go on, listen, it does not mean that anybody has not been caught to be, go overboard. And that's if we want to go that way and say that, look, we drag him to the bar or General Legal Council. Others have done it. What did they do? It is just they tell them that your conduct, it's not encourageable. You cannot encourage this. We condemn it. And he has apologized. So if anybody says that, listen, let's screw him, let's do this, any of them, haven't they done that before? Even if the senior advocate who says that in their practice, yes, it's condemnable. Nobody is saying that this should be encouraged. He has apologized for it. That, listen, I was taking over, I lost my cool, and this is what had happened. The judges have spoken from the inception of this matter. you saw, even if, as he was saying, that Tonlita is a junior to Mr. Addison. Mr. Addison is a student of Mr. Chachulita. But you saw some exchanges. Everybody, at the end of the day, we come back to the bar. We are friends, and we speak. And immediately after, even Mr. Tonlita said that he went to Mr. Addison, he showed him some documents. So if people outside want to stroke the fire and say, this is what, let's screw him, let's take our pound of flesh, I think it will not help the matter.
Okay.
And that's how they want to go. Yes, they can go. But let the person who hasn't commit any sin or any of that thing cast the first stone.
So thank you very much, Victor Kojoga Dawodu. He's a member of the NDC legal team. Earlier, I had Yabo Abinasama, who's a member of the MPP legal team. Join us on News Now. You'll hear details of that particular interview I had with Samuel Kudjeto about this particular episode and what he said about that. Also, we're hearing that there's some strong reaction coming from the NPP side. We'll hear more about that if you join us on News Now. My name is Evans Mensah. This has been Top Story.